Happy mid-morning, guys. Okay, part two to this morning's video. So if you haven't seen this morning's video, go watch that one, because otherwise this one's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you. Okay. Uh, this is why community is so important. This is why we all need to share information and get this out to each other. Okay. Just learning from each other is huge. So this morning's video, one of the questions I posed was why some cuts of meat are going up drastically in price and others are coming down. Okay, cuts of beef. And as I said in this morning's video, it's not like they're genetically modifying cows so there's more briskets in them and less ribeye steaks. So it's a supply and demand thing. Okay. I mean, a cow has only certain muscle groups and that's what we eat. Okay. Granted, you can get different sizes and stuff like that, but it's not like all of a sudden they're genetically modifying cows like they did chickens. To have, chickens have huge chicken breasts now, but they're not genetically modifying cows to all of a sudden it has 6 briskets. It doesn't work that way. Okay. But I posed the question about proteins and are they trying to limit our protein with the shutdown of Tyson plants, with the shutdown of Smithfield plants, and I specifically brought up a couple of ideas in beef. Okay, how much ribeye steaks had gone up in price, and how much brisket, of all things, had gone down in price. I mean, hell, we all love brisket. Smoke a brisket, barbecue, whatever it would be. But it just struck me as odd, as one of the things I was thinking is, okay, are they trying to get the better cuts of meat for the elites, for the oligarchs, and leaving the scraps for us? Possibility, after all. Got an email from one of you. Carolyn sent me this morning, and it answered this question, big time. We've talked many times on how the powers that be want to weaken us, right? Want to make sure we can't fight back. And how are they doing this? Well, subtly, economically, from the data that Carolyn sent me, that I'm going to show you here, okay? So the two things I compared this morning, 2 of the 4 actually, were how much ribeye steaks, bone-in ribeyes, had gone up and how much briskets had gone down in price. Let's take a look at why, okay? And if we look at this chart. So let's start right on the top. The calories in a ribeye steak per 100 grams, okay? 291 calories in a ribeye, 157 in a brisket. Remember, price of ribeyes has gone up like crazy. Price of brisket has come down. Well, gee, you're nearly getting twice the calories in a ribeye than you are in a brisket. What do we need calories for? We need calories for energy. If you don't have as much calories, you don't have as much energy. Granted, we could all stand to lose a few pounds. I'm not saying that, okay? I'm talking about an SHTF situation or what they're doing. You may hear from the excuse, how they'll always spin something. Well, maybe we're doing that because people will eat just as much, but they won't get as many calories. And we have an obesity problem in the United States. And if people eat more brisket and less ribeyes, they'll lose weight. You can see that being the spin put on this, okay? I'm going to take it the other direction. They don't want us having enough energy to fight back, okay? So let's look at the next one here on the chart. Fat, 21.81 grams in a ribeye, 7.37 grams in a brisket. Again, where are calories coming from? Primarily from the fats, okay? We need the calories. Cruising on down, again, back on this chart. Protein, okay? 23.69 grams of protein in a ribeye steak. in 100 grams. Okay, so nearly 1/4 of a ribeye is protein. 20.72 grams in a brisket. Okay, that's still 10% less, over 10% less. What do we need protein for? Muscle building, muscle maintenance, okay, strength. So if we can reduce their energy and reduce their strength, they don't have the capacity to fight back. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? Then we can get into the rest of them. You know, there's more water in brisket, there's more calcium in ribeyes and stuff like that. Okay, that's still important when you get into the iron, the magnesium, the potassium, the sodium. But I don't think that's the difference. I think they're looking at the calorie content and the protein content. And somebody could call me a wild conspiracy theorist about this, that this is what's going on. But it's just a little odd that the higher protein, higher caloric meat is increasing in price, while the lower cut of meat, the lower caloric content, the lower protein meat is declining. Okay? Because again, it's going opposite to supply and demand. Steak, I think we'd all agree, you know, steaks are a more premium cut of meat than briskets, right? Okay? You can't just throw a brisket on the grill and have dinner in 10 minutes. You can with the ribeye, okay? Brisket's going to take you all day. So it is a lower cut of meat. You ever try to cook a piece of brisket like steak, you got the toughest piece of meat you've ever tried to chew through, okay? It's a lower cut of meat. So let's give the paupers the lower cut of meat at a lower price. Well, if that's true, okay, which it seems to be, economically, the laws of supply and demand, first day of Economics 101, okay, would mean if more people are buying brisket because the supply doesn't change, remember, there's only so many parts in a cow. If more people are buying brisket, the price would be going up. If more people were buying ribeyes, the price would be going up. But at the prices, less people are buying ribeyes. So that would bring everything back a little bit into parity, except it's not working that way. There is no way on God's green earth anybody is going to try to tell me, with the inflationary environment that we are in right now, that people are going, hey, honey, you know what? I think I'm going to go buy some ribeyes for dinner tonight because, you know, they're only $12 a pound, which is still down from the 20 they were, okay? But, you know, well, let's see. You need a steak, and I need a steak, and Junior needs a steak, and Miss Molly needs a steak. Well, the kids don't eat as much, so we'll split one between the two of them. So we'll buy 3 pounds of steaks for dinner tonight, okay, for the 4 of us. It's only $36 plus tax, right? Yeah. I don't see a whole lot of that in the American diet right now. They're going, okay, can we get chicken thighs? Can we get ground beef? Maybe we can find something on sale. So there is not as much demand for the steaks. That should continue to bring their price down. But it's not. They're going up, okay? What's being manipulated here? Just a question I want to pose, but is there any truth to the fact, and by seeing this chart, I think this says there's a lot of it, that there is a concerted effort to change our diet. You can still eat beef, you just get the crappy cuts, which are lower in protein, which are lower in calories, which will not allow us to have the energy or the strength to fight back. Go back to World War II, okay? And think about this again. Remember Victory Gardens? Remember people, I mean, who was it? I can't remember. I want to say it was Jane Mansfield, who stood in front of her car for a photo op, that she was selling the tires off of her car because and not using her car anymore because the military needed the rubber. Remember why we had victory gardens? Because they needed to send the highest quality food to the troops. So they had the caloric intake, so for the energy, and the protein for the strength to beat back Mussolini, Hitler, and Hirohito. Okay. Are they doing the same now? We need to give the strength and the energy to our UN stormtroopers, maybe, and the people back home can suffer a little bit until the point where the UN stormtroopers are the ones that are actually fighting against the people back home. Are we being declared the enemy by the government? And I'm not saying conservatives being declared the enemy by the communist Biden regime. I'm not saying that. Are the people of the United States, Democrats, Republicans, independents, unaffiliated, whatever, are the people as a whole being declared the enemy by our government, our totalitarian Biden regime, who wants globalism, who worships at the altar of Klaus Schwab, who's completely sold out to Xi Jinping? Is our own government trying to weaken us so that we are easily taken over? Remember the old line why Japan said they didn't attack the United States? Because there was a gun behind every blade of grass. Remember that comment? Okay. But if there's nobody that's got the strength to pull the trigger, to dig the foxhole, to take up the defensive position, it's a lot easier for them to run roughshod on us. Just a real interesting concept that came out, and I thank Carolyn quite well for this. She answered a question that I've been struggling with, and I think she proved my hypothesis with one chart that's publicly available to everybody. Yet how many people are actually going to look for it? This is why we all work together. This is why I pose questions, you guys come up with answers. You guys pose questions and each other come up with answers. Or you guys post questions and I have some answers. This is why we work all together. Because one of us may think of something and somebody else may have an answer or may have a solution that we never thought of. This is why we do this. This is why we all get together every day and talk about this stuff. Because you learn something, I learn something, and between the collectiveness that is all of us, we all get smarter, we all get better, and we all get more prepared to fight this coming battle between good and evil.